Preseasons at youth levels are hard. Some players come back from holidays where they spend the entire days running and swimming, but others have been playing video games for weeks. Many of them have not been playing soccer, using those muscles and doing those movements. We need to bring that back quickly for the start of the seasons. Here are 14 drills structured in 4 categories that I use in the preseason, all of which using soccer balls so that touches happen in high physical intensity context. In some of them, there are no opponents, but there must be competition element to it. Instead of yelling at the players to go faster, we designed the drills from the start to encourage them to be faster and give their best. Finally, you have to make it fun. Their bodies will not enjoy being pushed to the limit, so you have to counter that by making the activities fun. The first category of drills is when each player is on their own. The simplest one I have is when I make a square and all the players need to run with the ball clockwise. The aim is to catch the player in front, and if you do, then they're out. The game continues until there's only one player left. However, we don't want players just kicking the ball across the entire edge of the square. Instead, we want them to keep the ball close while dribbling. For this, I reserve the right to yell reverse, and at that point we switch from clockwise to counterclockwise, and vice versa. This makes players gain and lose advantage, but also keeps them alert and ready to switch directions. Unlike the previous drill, I prefer when the intensity increases over time, and when all players are still part of the game instead of standing on the side. My favorite one is the last man standing drill. Everybody starts with a ball in a limited area, like the penalty box. If a ball goes out of it, it's a dead ball, and the player tries to steal a ball from somebody else. In the end, only one ball remains, and the player in possession is the last man standing. The intensity increases over time, as the number of defender increases and the number of players with the ball decreases. Here's another drill that you can think of as a tag with ball. The famous game of tag, where the tagger is without the ball, while the others have a ball while evading the tagger who counts their catches. Every 60 seconds you switch the tagger, with the aim of getting the most tags. Depending on the level, this can be too hard to run with so fast with the ball. So here are 2 variations of it. Simply set pairs, where they can pass the ball to each other, while the taggers can only tag the player with the ball. This forces both players to run with and without the ball, as well as get touches on the ball. Another variation is to have the tagger gather their army. Every single time they catch somebody, they join them. However, the taggers have to hold hands while chasing somebody else. This means then the line they can form is large, but also harder to coordinate. This builds teamwork for them, while making it harder for the players with the ball, as they get narrowed down by the big line of taggers. Kids love it, it's super fun for them. The second category is drills done in pairs. While there are no opponents, we must create competition on how fast they can execute the drill. For example, instead of simply relay race or suicides run, let's include a ball. In pairs, the player with the ball is on the outline, while the other one sprints for 10 meters or yards line to receive the ball, passes back, and sprints back. Then they switch roles. Same goes for 20-yard line, 30 yards line, and so on until the half line. The pair that does this the fastest wins. The intensity is high because the teammates alternate and they push each other to do better. Another example I like is when I set a square similar to the first drill, and a player needs to pass along the one line and run perpendicular to receive it back. The coach can at any time yell reverse to switch the passing pattern from clockwise to counterclockwise and vice versa. The team that gets to 50 passes first wins. This drill is better for receiving the ball with first touch to the side. However, the speed usually is defined by the slower of the 2 players. Finally, I like the zigzag pattern for competition. The simple one can be that the players dribble around the cones in a zigzag pattern and pass back to the teammate to do the same. This can be done in pairs, but also more players and just divided into 2 teams. With the same setup, I like to give the players the challenge to pass across the gates instead. Of course, you can play with the size and the distance of the gates, so it's not too easy or too hard for the players. The next category of drills are one-on-ones and two-on-twos. Periodization is based on the fact that the smaller the number of player makes the more intense drill. 1v1 drills will be short in duration, the highest in intensity, which is what we want to get the players ready for the season. There's a video on the channel of only one-on-one drills. You should check it out. I will share my two favorite ones for the preseason conditioning in particular. As you imagine, both of them require sprints to get the ball and determine who is attacking and who is defending. Also, they can be instantly adjusted for 2v2 instead of 1v1. Start from the same point, run around the two cones on the other side of the field and claim the ball in the middle of the field. Then play 1v1 to score on the other goal. It's very simple and can be played both as 1v1 or 2v2. I usually like to throw the ball in the middle and often throw a high ball to force the players to find a way and get a good first touch into space. The other one is similar because it has a run, but in this case, it's also about checking their shoulder. They sprint away from the goal and around the cone. I sometimes launch the ball far and sometimes leave it near. They need to adjust their direction and claim the ball, then score on the goal. The final category is small-sided game, SSG. Let's talk about three of them. The simple one is transition waves. For example, we can have 3v3 game where one side attacks, the other one defends. As soon as the defender obtains the ball or concedes a goal, they become attacker to a third team waiting for them. This means compared to a regular game, there is one team that always rests, which makes the intensity higher. The cycle here is defend, attack, rest. You can also make attack, defend, rest. In that case, the transition is attack to defense rather than defense to attack. Both are important. It is up to you to see what your team needs more practice with. Another drill I like is to do really push one team to the limit. For example, I set a 5v5 of teams A and B with third team C on the sidelines. I give 2 minutes for a game with high intensity. Then I rotate B and C. Then another 2 minutes, I rotate teams B and team C again. After a few rotations, A is running on empty while pushing their endurance. The advice for Team B and Team C is to keep playing high intensity in order to gain advantage over Team A. This is a famous Marcelo Bielsa drill that he did with his teams all across the world. The final drill I like to do is a double rondo. There's a video on the channel about double rondos, and some of them can be solid for conditioning too. Here is one that is a very high intensity. Set two 5v2 rondos with a bit of a gap between them. The rule is that after a player interacts with the ball, it has to go to the other rondo. This is not true for defenders that keep the press with high intensity. But this means that all the players run a fair amount of time so they can do the touches. Also, they need to keep adjusting the positions. It's a great drill for various age groups. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and are having great preseason. Leave a comment about which drill you are using. Like the video if you like the video, and see you in the next one.